Cam Fold sat alone at a table, warmed by the mid-morning sunshine pouring through the windows of the restaurant in which he worked, the Blind Pig. Taking a break from his usual labor, he glanced about at the unassuming hole-in-the-wall establishment. On first sight, there wasn't much to the place, a scattering of golden oak tables, dark-paneled walls that were decades behind the current design trends, and flagstone flooring so old and layered in old dirt that the original color could no longer be known. But that didn't mean there was nothing to the Blind Pig. The restaurant wasn't fancy, and the clientele didn't have their noses in the air, but the food was fine, and the folks who frequented the place were hardworking and humble. Cam's sort of people. It was why he liked working here, having taken the job a few weeks back when the months-long break between his first and second year at the Ephemeral Academy had started. Of course, it went without saying that he would have liked to go home like the other matriculating students, but he was too poor to afford the journey. So was Pan, and the two of them had remained behind at the Ephemeral Academy, taking on work to pay for their meals and lodging. Cam was about to return his attention to the letter from his family, but the delicious aromas of fried potatoes, spiced meat seared over an open flame, and baking bread had him distracted. His mouth watered and his stomach growled warning, like it was demanding to be fed. This in spite of the fact that he'd already had his fill of breakfast. Sometimes, though, it wasn't a bad thing to have a second helping, especially since Master Fringe Green, the owner of the Blind Pig, wouldn't have minded. Cam was a good worker, everyone said so, and this small pause in his work was only because he'd already finished everything set before him. He'd cleaned the dishes, swept the floor, wiped down the tables, and even tried his hand at prep work by chopping vegetables and cutting apart chickens. None of it was hard, and in a few more weeks, Master Green might even teach him how to cook. Cam figured it would have to eventually happen. The summer was long, and there would undoubtedly be time to learn the intricacies of a new craft. Cam smiled, imagining how Ferris would laugh at him for wanting to learn to cook. Back home in Traverse, the most he had been allowed to do in the kitchen was boil water and peel potatoes. He'd even been proud of his ignorance. But that had been a different, less motivated version of himself, and Cam figured he'd outgrown that person. Or maybe that version had never been real. After all, that had been a Cam who had been a drunk, and he refused to think of himself like that anymore. He was worthy of self-respect, and he took pride in what he had accomplished. He was an individual of merit, something he'd taken a while to accept, but once he finally did, that change in perspective had made all the difference. The smell of alcohol no longer seeped into Cam's mind like a lure. He could ignore the aroma whenever it was present and focus instead on living a life full of purpose. Mediocrity would never again be enough for him, and part of that new awareness meant learning new skills like cooking. Cam's smile broadened as he thought about how overjoyed his sister, Ferris, would be when she saw him again, especially if he fixed her a fine meal. He'd make her something like what they served here at the Blind Pig. Nothing fancy, that wasn't Ferris, but something simple, delicious, and filling, so long as it impressed her. More than anything, Cam wanted her to know how far he'd come and how grateful he was to her. His smile remained as he imagined a reunion scene with his sister. But slowly his expression grew wistful. When would he see her again? When would he see the rest of his family, Master Bennet, or his childhood friend Jordal? He missed them all. He'd even miss his sister's wedding, information he'd just learned since it was Ferris's letter that he'd been reading. Next month, she and Farmer Marcus would wed, and Cam wouldn't be there. The last of his humor left him, replaced by the despondency of homesickness. He hadn't felt any way like this during the entirety of his first year at the Ephemeral Academy. There had been so much to learn, to do, and danger to overcome. But with everyone else gone home for the summer, the school grounds felt empty and alone. Even Pan's happy cheer couldn't always lift Cam's mood. "You look like someone stole your puppy," Master Green said, having shoved open the swinging doors leading into the kitchen. Cam glanced at the portly owner of the Blind Pig. The man's face was flushed, which was the usual for him, and his heavy jowls shook with every step he took. A white apron, discolored as it was by various stains, stretched over his ample belly. "No stolen puppy," Cam corrected. "Just a letter from home." "I don't care. Get back to the kitchen and clean the dishes." Master Green took a moment to shake his head in disgust. "I swear the new line book used up every damn pot, skillet, and plate we have. His section looks like a tornado tore through it." "Yes, sir." Master Green hesitated. "You don't have to rush. Go ahead and finish reading the letter from home." "Yes, sir." Master Green was already heading back to the kitchen. "And stop calling me sir. Makes my gut itch seeing an acolyte from the academy act so humble."
to keep listening to this audiobook. I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.